owners of Titan Restoration. They specialize in turning worthless into worthy. With the right team and the right tools, they can make old cars better than new.
Today I'm coming to see my friend James Chen to talk about doing a project that he has that he's wanted to do for some time. We're going to take a look at it and see what we come up with. Buongiorno, James.
Hey, ciao Biazzi.
Good to see you.
What's going on?
I just came to check on you.
Hi, I'm James Chin, and I like cars. I'm an entrepreneur, businessman, and I've been playing around with cars all my life. Well, as you know, I've had this 230 SL for some time. It's great. I love driving it and so on and so forth. But you know, it's a 50-year-old car, and I wish it has a little bit more power. I wish it stops and turns a little bit better.
It's a little too nice to resto mod, I think. I mean, not that you couldn't do it. It's just, it's a shame to do one that's this nice to do resto mod on. Probably best to find you one that's not quite as nice as this, and then we can resto mod that one.
Well, I've got something to show you.
Yeah?
I love this car immensely, and I really enjoy driving it. But you know, it's like if you're gonna do a fixer-upper on a house, you don't do it with a brand new track home. So I figure it was a smarter way to find a driver quality car and resto mod it, instead of really messing with perfection. Come on, let's show you what we got. So this one here, it's not as pretty as the other one.
Well, it looks like a car that they painted to sell.
That's a nice way of putting it. The interior, I mean, it's a beautiful gray color. The interior is red, but after, you know, some UV damage is more pink than red now.
It was red at one time.
Well, so if you're asking about condition 1 car, it's absolutely top. It's perfect, so on and so forth. Condition 5 car is really a basket case. So the car we have here, my gray car here, is probably a condition 3 car. From afar, 15, 20 feet away, it looks great. From 5 feet away, it doesn't look so great. I would like to get some more power under the hood, change it to a modern transmission.
Yeah, you're a wheel guy.
Sure.
Do you have something in mind wheels-wise?
Absolutely. I wanted the car to look stock, but kind of the stock plus, like, hey, it looks something different.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pull off these.
You want it to be subtle.
Subtle,
yeah.
But you know, performance-oriented.
The biggest challenge on this restoration is going to be making it look the way James Chen envisions it in his head, how he wants it to look. It requires a fair amount of work to do that, make that happen.
You like being a pioneer, don't you? You want to be the innovator and not the imitator.
I guess that's why you called me, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, swapping in the engine and transmission that don't belong to this car requires a tremendous amount of machining and fabrication, not to mention there's no parts that you can simply go buy. There's no kit for it. It's not something that's easily done. It has to be done methodically, and it has to be done correctly the first time. Otherwise, we'll be taking it in and out and test fitting, and it's a whole nightmare. I think we should go with this texture grain leather like this.
On the side.
On the side.
Why do I trust Ralph on doing this project for me? Well, we've been lifelong friends. I've known him for since high school. And I know his style. He doesn't compromise. He doesn't cut corners. He does it right. Well, Ralph, this ain't your first rodeo. You've done this many times before, and we're on the same page in terms of what I like on the car. So start working on your magic.
We'll call the tow truck. We'll get it out of here.
Okay.
And we'll get started, and we'll see how it goes along. I have to do the things that you don't necessarily see. It's not very exciting. You don't see them, but when you drive the car, you notice that, hey, the shifter is nice and tight, and the steering is tight. And when you step on the brakes, it stops in a straight line. And these are little details that are really important to me. And probably the main reason that James wants me to do this car is because I see these things that are under the surface, under the skin of the car. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the hardtop off this car. We'll set it behind the car. So that way we have some room so we can start doing the deconstruct on the interior.
Yeah, sure.
We removed the roof off the car. Reason being, it makes it a lot easier to get to the interior with the top off the car. So now at this stage, we can go through and we can finish removing the interior on the car. Normally, Pagodas came with both the hardtop and a soft top, but they made one, it's called a California edition, where the soft top was an option to save money. He probably wishes it had the soft top now, though. Next, we're going to remove the carpets, the seat. Basically, everything that's red is going to come out and get redone. As we removed all the interior from the car, Pedro has components of the car on his bench, and he's stripping the old incorrect material off of the original components. And we're going to go and get the correct Mercedes leather and recover it in the correct leather.
The Mercedes-Benz 230 SL was part of a series internally known as the W113 and was made from 1963 to 1971. The SL stood for Superleicht, German for Superlight. The SL was a fast and nimble sports car available in convertible coupe or removable hardtop roadster configurations. The hardtop had a slight concave in its design, giving it a similar appearance to the Asian architecture known as the pagoda, for which this car is nicknamed. The 230 SL had a 2.3-liter six-cylinder engine that made 148 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of about 10.5 seconds. Then in 1967, the 280 SL was released with a 2.8-liter six-cylinder engine, 168 horsepower, and a 0 to 60 time of 8.5 seconds. The cost of the 230 SL in 1963 was approximately 22,000 Deutschmarks in Germany and $7,500 in the US. Adjusting for inflation, that same car today would cost approximately $61,500.
So I called my good friend Nick Smith to stop by and take a look at the pagoda to give me an idea of where it is now and valuation on Restomod.
So what have we got? Tell me about this one.
This one belongs to a friend of mine, James Chen. I don't know if you know, he's a pretty big car collector.
Yeah, I do. Hi, I'm Nick Smith. I work for Worldwide Auctioneers. I'm an appraiser and specialist for the car auction company.
So he purchased this one, and this one is kind of a trap car, meaning all the paintwork looks good, but the interior was done very poorly. The drivetrain is shot, transmission's worn, clutch is shot. It's important to have an appraisal on the car because you can easily get in over your head, meaning you don't want to be at a point where you spent way more on the car than you'll ever get back out of it. What we plan to do is we're going to remove the engine completely, and then we're going to put a 3.6-liter AMG
Here we go.
engine inside of it with the ZF 5-speed.
Nice.
I've only seen one car like this done as a 3.6 Pagoda, and it was done for some prince in Monaco. So I don't know how to appraise something like this. I don't know. I mean, that's why I need you. I don't.
I think because of the way it was restored and the cheapness of the restoration and quality of the product that came out, I think it's probably a $25,000 to $30,000 car in today's market. Being fairly conservative about it. And knowing the issues that it's got, putting a value on it, I would look at it somewhere in the region of about $80,000, maybe as much as $100,000 when it's done. The other challenge that Ralph is up against isn't in the outside world, it's turning back at the owner. He's got a very discerning collection of very premium quality cars and a very discerning eye. He's a very educated owner, and Ralph's not going to be able to get away with cutting any corners on this one. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thanks for showing it to me.
Not only was the 230 SL designed to be fast and comfortable, it was designed for safety as well. It was the first sports car to have a safety body consisting of a rigid passenger cell and designated crumple zones. The 230 SL was the first Mercedes-Benz to use radial tires, which were a relatively new way of tire manufacturing at the time, allowing for a more comfortable ride, better traction, and longer tread life. Ralph and his team have been asked to resto-mod a 1964 Mercedes-Benz 230 SL. The owner of the car wants a new interior and an updated and modern Mercedes engine to replace the original one.
All right, what car are we going to start with today?
Let's start with the 1964 Pagoda Resto Mod for James
Okay.
Chen. This is the car here.
Right.
We've known each other for a very long time. I know his tastes, I know his level of quality that he likes, and he's trusted me to do this car.
I love the color. But I see that is it red that's inside here?
Yeah, it's really faded. It's pretty poorly done interior.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to address that. He likes red. So the factory on the AMG cars uses what's called Alcantara, which
I
is,
know what Alcantara
which is
is.
just a really nice suede.
Yes.
You like the feel of that?
Alcantara is amazing.
So the headliner, when you put your hands up and down like this, you get to feel it's all suede.
Yeah, that would be an
So
excellent
we'll do the
touch.
headliner on the inside in red Alcantara.
Okay.
Because this is a resto mod, we can kind of do a departure from what it's supposed to have, and we can have a little fun with it.
That would be nice. I think this would be an excellent addition.
But you know, we're going to have to get into not just the styling of the car, we're going to have to get into under the hood and do some serious performance upgrades. We are going to do the 5-speed manual transmission. We're going to install 3.6 104 engine, which is a twin cam engine. I'm going to have Bill Jaganow come out and help us with that. And then David Renskers is a master tech from Downtown LA Motors. So he's going to help us merge the wiring harness from the donor car over to this car. And we have to build an exhaust for it. So we have quite a few
things
line items to do.
All right, well, let's go tell the guys and let's get them started on this so they know what they're doing. I want to take this all to Pedro.
We have a really good team. We have Pedro doing the interior. We have Bill Jaganow doing most of the metal fabrication. We have David Renskers helping us do the electrical work on the car, and myself and Jeff is assisting. So it's a pretty involved, pretty complex build.
We're going to put about $40,000 into this car, and I know James spent about $50,000, so we're looking at $85,000 on a resto mod. And I'm really hoping that Nick Smith's going to appraise it for more.
This 1964 Mercedes-Benz 230 SL is getting a resto mod. The interior is going to be replaced with new carpet, new seats, and a new headliner. The old engine will be replaced with a newer, larger one that will be fabricated to fit. And it will get new tires along with uniquely designed custom wheels.
We need a donor car for the Pagoda, so we bought one and we brought it to the shop. What do you think, Dave?
Good to go. It'll work. My name's Dave Renskers. I work for Mercedes-Benz. I've been a Master Guild technician for 29 years. Ralph called me in today to work on this conversion. We're going to be taking V6, straight 6, out of this 1994 Mercedes-Benz, taking the wiring harness, modifying it, and converting all the connections as far as coolant, air conditioning, and whatnot, and placing it into this truly classic Mercedes-Benz 1964.
Let me get some gloves, and we'll get started. I'll give you a hand.
Okay, great. A lot of the challenges will be fitting it. It'll be converting something modern into something not so modern.
We don't have power to the base. See, we already encountered a problem. We don't have power to our base module.
Check the fuse first. Always check the fuse first.
What do you think, Dave?
There's our problem.
David is the perfect guy for this job because he's not rattled very easily, and he's not fazed by electrical problems, whereas another guy would just be freaking out because there's a problem. Dave is the type of person that'll say, well, calm down just for a second. Let's check the fuse. Taking a donor car to use the motor and drivetrain from this car to transfer to the other car, you could also be transferring the problems from this particular car into that car. We don't really want to do that. We want to address the problems, if there's any, here and now before we move it over to the other car, because we don't want to put an unreliable wiring harness or unreliable engine in a car that we spent that much time and effort on. Well, what I got here is I got a whole bunch of spaghetti. There's about 1,000 wires here, maybe a little bit more. Most of it has to do with the mirror control, the seat control, the window control, power seats, a whole lot of stuff that we're not using on the car we're transferring over to. So we're trying to get to the harness, enough of it out that, that we can pull it out of the car and run the engine without having the car.
With this particular project, you liken it almost to a heart transplant on a person. It's a very meticulous job. It's not just removing a heart and placing it into the next vehicle. It's removing all the veins and the arteries that actually supply the power and the lifeblood to this engine that have to be removed and isolated, because each ventricle, each vein supplies power to different portions of the vehicle, and we have to separate only the ones that supply power to our engine.
Well, this is especially complex because there's no guidelines to doing this. We're taking two cars to build one, and it's not the same car. We're taking 1994 digital technology and adapting it to analog technology from a 1964 car. So there's going to be a lot of cross re-engineering to make all that stuff work.
Today I'm at Formula Wheels. I want to make a replica of the hubcap wheel on my Mercedes-Benz SL. Hey James, how's it going, man?
Oh, James, how are you? Hello, my name is James Versailles. I work at Formula Wheels here in Costa Mesa, California. We are a private label manufacturer making proprietary wheels for a variety of customers, as well as our Formula brand.
This is the Mercedes-Benz 280 SL hubcap, and this is a 14-inch hubcap on a steel wheel. What I wanted to do is to take the design element from this wheel and make it into a 17-inch version. So this is the final rendering that you got. It's a 14-inch where you kind of enlarge it to 17-inch, and it's done proportionally, correct?
Yeah, correct. If you remember, the main challenge of this was trying to keep the proportions of the star in accordance with the sample piece that you got, while also covering the lug pattern.
Because of the difficulty of this build, I need somebody who's like the best in CAD design, and James is definitely it. So I'm gonna pick his brain a little bit and see what he can come up with, and design me a beautiful wheel from the ground up. The rendering looks good. I think I like all the tolerances. The brake caliper clearance are great. Yeah, you got my green light. Let's go ahead and make 8 of them to start, and let me know. Just give me a call when wheels are ready to be picked up.
Okay, I'll get the materials allocated, and we'll start turning some metal.
Thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you.
All right. I'm a real stickler for perfection. The wheel has to be precise and has to be very accurate. So Formula Wheels does a great job on executing what I want to do, and the wheel is made with great tolerances, great precision, and a great finish.
The 1964 Mercedes 230 SL Resto Mod is underway. Ralph and his team have found a new engine, but it must be removed from another vehicle before it can be installed in the Pagoda.
Now the difficult part. We have to remove the engine along with the wiring harness from the donor car. We want to be careful because it's still a 20-year-old car.
Beautiful, there it is.
How's that look?
Ready?
Let's go. Up. Yeah, go ahead. Let's go up a little bit. There she goes.
There we go. That's what we want to hear. Beautiful.
It's okay. Let's go forward. Oh, hold on.
What do we got
What do you
there?
got there? Oh, no. Wait. Son of a... Don't tell me we ruined the... That cable's done. It'll never start without that cable. That's why we got to double check, make sure these cables are not caught up anywhere.
When we were pulling the engine out, there was one portion that didn't go as well as we planned. What happened was the crankshaft position sensor harness got caught up as we were removing the engine. Unfortunately, it happens to be a pretty important wire.
I wasn't planning on damaging that cable. We'll have to order one. It's going to set us back a day to get another cable. It's a couple $100 in parts, but we'll get through it. Power seed, ground, power, ground. There. Oh, what's this one? Well, the engine piece of this puzzle is really complicated because the vehicle that it came out of has a great deal of electronics. The car originally had 54 computers. We had to condense it down to 4. So the way we do that is we have to take the entire wiring harness out of the car and have this huge, massive ball of spaghetti, essentially, of wires. And we have to go through with the wiring diagram and dissect what we need to keep and what we can discard. Everything that has to do with the convertible top or tail lights or brake lights or radio, air conditioning, all that stuff can be eliminated from the harness. We only want to retain what we need for the running of the engine. So there's quite a few control units that all have to talk to each other in order for that to happen. Don't remember.
That was the main feed up here. I enjoy it. I love to be able to find the roadmap to each car and find out what power goes where, which ground, how this sensor affects this sensor, how it affects this control unit.
Yeah. Bottom line is you're solving problems.
Yeah.
And most people go their whole life without being able to solve a single problem. If you're a mechanic, you solve dozens of problems a day, hundreds a week. So if you think about it, mechanics are the ultimate problem solver. Everything's a problem, and hopefully when it leaves, the problem's been solved.
So today I'm at Formula Wheel. I came down here today to check out my wheels, and meanwhile Ralph is doing all the hard work and working on my SL back at Titan. How's the wheels coming along?
Well, I have a surprise for you.
Show me.
Check out your wheels.
Oh, wow. So this is the assembled wheel?
Yes, yeah, we got this one mocked up for you so that you can give us your final thoughts.
So this is the hubcap that we're looking for originally.
Yes.
I want to mimic this look into a 17-inch forged wheel.
Correct.
What are we going to do about center cap and the lug nut?
Well, I thought that we might go with this beauty lug cover and
Wow.
just snap it in and hide the lugs, and it's going to replicate pretty much what you got here, except in a scaled up version.
May I do the honor?
Yes, please.
Wow, that's a nice fit.
Yeah.
That looks really, really good.
The challenge in trying to complete this wheel was trying to take a hubcap and turn it into a 3-piece wheel while trying to cover the lugs so that they weren't exposed, much like a hubcap would.
This is going to work really well. Wow, this looks great. I'm really happy. We're good to go.
Awesome,
All
great.
right, cool. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you so much.
All right, see ya.
Yes.
It has to look a certain way. It really has to look like it came out of the factory. So I needed something with extreme accuracy, with extreme precision, and it's just got to be done right in the first place. And Formula Wheels is the place to get it done.
The materials we have is the materials for the 230 SL Pagoda. So we got red leather, red perforated leather, red carpet. We got the new foam, and we got the cardstock. We've already removed the interior from the car and detrimmed the dash. So now Pedro is going to start retrimming all of the carpets, seats, sun visors, dash pad, and it's all going to be done in the correct red leather. So there's a whole bunch of work that's going to go into the interior of this car today. Dave Renskers came over today, and we made a tremendous amount of progress. So most of the unnecessary wiring that we don't need for the car is now under the bench. and the circuits that we do need are on top of the bench. So we made trace back the wiring system and the junction box, and we've mated everything up to the engine along with the starter motor and the battery. So we're able to now just turn the key, it activates the EA, the throttle actuator, and it activates the starter motor. I guess now at this point, we have power. Now the only thing left is key on.
Our engine is
Click.
directly grounded to the battery.
All right, so we'll try it.
When we heard the motor turn over, we had... I just wanted to kiss Ralph. Oh God, thanks Ralph, you're making me laugh now. When we heard the motor turn over, we basically knew that all the circuits were completed to get to that starter. We're able to crank the motor, we're able to get it started. We just need to transfer it into the Pagoda, and then we should have a running engine and trans.
Good.
The 230 SL Resto Mod is coming along, with the new wheels just needing tires and the interior underway. After the new engine has been pulled and is running, Ralph and his team still need to install it into the 230 SL.
When we initially test fired the engine outside of the car, we had everything from the factory system integrated into the engine to make everything run. So which requires 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 modules to do one simple thing. So to simplify things, I got rid of all of these computers and we're going to install this little guy, which is a Haltech computer. So this computer will do everything that all of this stuff does inside this little computer, and it'll run everything that we need to run for the engine simply off of this piece. And this has to come out. You see this here? Well, where we're at right now is we're making room for the new 3.6-liter engine. So what we had to do is we pulled the intake manifold from here, and we've removed the radiator and removed the battery box and air cleaner box from the 2 corners as well. So we had to do a fair amount of cutting to make some room. So now that we have some room, we take the engine out and just keep moving forward.
The Pagoda is a very difficult build, and Ralph has to get the transmission. It's not here. I don't know when it's gonna come in. I don't know how he's gonna put it together. He's got all these ideas in his head, and I just don't know where he's going with this right now. Ralph is the artist. This is his creation. But I have to make sure that we can afford to get it done. I have to check the finances and make sure that everything adds up properly, or we're over budget.
Removing the old engine was pretty straightforward with the exception of the really rusty exhaust. We couldn't save it, we had to cut it off. And now the more difficult part is going to be installing a different engine, which is the 104 engine. Kelly's very concerned about the labor hours we've spent doing the modifications to the subframe on the Pagoda. I've really got to get this engine in and running pretty quickly, otherwise my wife is going to have a heart attack. Luckily, I know just the guy.
All right, let's see if we can get this thing in the center. I'm Bill Jaganow. I own Brothers Custom Automotive in Troy, Michigan, and I've known Ralph for probably 25 years. He asked me to come help him do this Pagoda project, and I couldn't get out here fast enough. And the width of our oil pan is about 8 inches, so we're going to give another inch on either side.
Yeah, so we'll divide from the center line and we'll go 5 inches out on either side.
Sounds good. Today, we're lowering the front cross member in order to accommodate the new modern engine. All right, I'm about to cut my last relief into this cross member. I'm going to lower this down so we have the integrity of the original cross member here, just a little bit shorter. So I'm going to get to cutting. Working on the Pagoda has been pretty exciting because I've never had to cut apart a cross member on a car like that to fit such a big engine into such a small car. This is a unibody car, and this subframe bolts to the body.
There's only one that we know of that's ever been done like this before, so we had to try and figure out how to make it work without any instructions. Basically, this is a custom build on the fly. If we just put the engine in as it was with the existing frame the way it was, then the engine would stick up too high and you wouldn't be able to close the hood.
All that stuff has to get worked in. And doing it in the planning stage like we're doing now, we can lift the engine, we can move it, we can cut a little bit more, and we can trial fit it a couple times, and that's okay. Because if you don't do that, you may have a tremendously big problem. More cutting, more fabricating, and more stress.
I don't know how he does it, but he always has perfect hair. Well, we've managed to put the dual mass flywheel, the clutch pressure plate, and mount the transmission to the engine. So now the engine and transmission's married together. Then we went ahead and did the re-test fit to make sure the alignment was correct with the tail shaft housing of the transmission. Now we've got to make some adjustments to bring the motor mounts down to the point where we need it so it sits correctly in the cradle, and then we can bolt it down and the engine will be attached to the chassis.
So if we don't get this engine in the center of the engine compartment and make sure the transmission is centered in the tunnel, this is going to be a disaster. The thing will vibrate like crazy, the owner will be very unhappy with Ralph, and then it's going to come back on me too, probably. So we got to make sure we do this right. If we don't do this right, it's a total disaster. The transmission has been touching here. We can't really go back much further.
I just want to line it up so it's perfectly straight. So can we still see our measurement marks?
Yeah, it's got to go to this side. In my world of hot rods and custom cars and restoration, it's not normal to have to fit such a large package into such a small place. And it's a challenge, and it's taking a little bit more time than we previously thought it would. No, but that's a good mark for us.
Yeah, if we hit that straight down, we should be straight and plumb, right?
Exactly, yep.
Okay.
I would just take a peek at the transmission if it's left or right in the tunnel.
This is perfectly straight.
All right.
But the shifter link arms come from here and go forward. We have enough room, it's no problem.
So overall success, but still a little bit more work to make it fit. We have to make sure that the engine is straight, aligned in the car, center line. The drive shaft has to be straight. All of that alignment is critical. But with Ralph's help, we got it in there pretty, not so bad. It could have been worse. I was a little worried at first, but it went in okay.
Nice looking wheel, huh? Let me make sure the star's facing the right direction. We got the wheels that we designed with James Chen. They look really nice. We went up in size up to a 17 by 7.5 inch wheel. So now it's got modern radials, a better handling Michelin tire. We still have a few more steps to do. We still have to finish wiring up the ECU and it'll be ready to drive.
The 1964 Mercedes-Benz 230 SL Resto Mod is complete. The carpet was replaced, seats were redone, and the original wooden dash was restored. The 2.3-liter engine was swapped with a larger 3.6-liter engine and updated 5-speed transmission. And a custom set of one-piece aluminum wheels were machined and wrapped with new tires.
morning.
Hi, Annie.
Hi.
Uh-oh, you got your book in your hand.
I do. Well, the car came out really, really nice. We have to discuss some numbers.
Uh-oh.
Yes, because I know that Nick Smith is coming this morning. So with your labor
Okay.
and with all the parts that we purchased for this car, we're into it about $85,000.
Okay.
Which is normally not bad for a restoration, but with a Restomod, I don't really know how this is going to fare when he comes in and appraises it today.
Oh, there he is.
Hey,
Hi, Nick.
We were just talking about you.
Good. We were just talking about this car.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. She came out nice. Very nice.
Yes, take a look. I mean,
I
there's
will.
been quite a bit of work done since you left.
I'm sure.
Since the last
What did we
time
do?
saw it.
Oh, Lord, here we go. So Ralph brought me back today to do the appraisal on the 230 SL with modernised running gear. It's an interesting car. It's a tricky car. It's a tricky car to appraise. It's a tricky car to sell.
It's a stick shift.
Stick shift, I see.
Well, before it was a 4-speed.
Now
If you
it's-
notice now, it's a 5-speed.
It's 5-speed, yeah.
Yeah, so that 5th gear makes all the
Oh, I'm
difference in
sure.
the world.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Redone interior, obviously.
We redid the interior, even the headliner. We did red suede on the inside.
Oh,
Nice Alcantara. And then normally, you remember how the trunks look on these cars?
Yep.
Kind of boring.
Oh, nice. There you go. That's nicely done. Nice attention to detail.
Yeah.
So a standard car is an easy car to appraise because you've got comparable cars to offset it in public sales or auction. You start to get to modernised cars, resto mods, and it gets very tricky because it's a very personal thing. It's a customised for the person who built it or commissioned it to be built. Anything else is up to their taste and style. It's a nice car. So, you want an appraisal?
I do.
Okay, well,
My wife would especially.
we know who runs the business.
I was a little nervous today to have Nick Smith come in because I wasn't sure how he was going to value this car. We spent some money on it.
It's sympathetically done. It's not over the top. You haven't hacked the car to pieces by the looks of things.
Yeah.
And kept it true to form. So as a base model, it's I mean, this is going to get kind of tricky. As a base model 230 SL, in this kind of condition, nicely restored, nicely painted, these are anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. But as a resto mod, I see the value between $90,000 and $130,000, and I have to give it a long spread on that because I've got
You have to find the right buyer.
I've got to see the right buyer. But to the right buyer, I think this is a pretty valuable and exciting and fun car.
I think we're going to end up okay with this one.
Yeah, I think the customer's going to be really happy.
Yeah.
I think James is going to love his car, and this is something for the future.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people will lean towards resto-modded cars. It makes a good driver out of a car that otherwise would have been just sitting in a museum setting, not being driven.
It's great. Nice job.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Good news. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
That is
Yeah,
good.
it's good news.
Send me a bill.
I will.
Or should I say send it to my wife?
Yeah,
It goes to me.
Yeah.
The 1964 Mercedes-Benz 230 SL is finished, but Ralph has some last-minute changes to complete before the owner comes to see and test drive the new car.
James, you're early.
Wow, I'm eager. Oh my God, this car looks gorgeous.
You like the license plate?
So this morning I arrived a little earlier than I should because I was very eager. I want to see my car, but so far from what I've seen, I'm very, very pleased. The AMG exhaust tips looks great. It looks like it belongs to the car.
Well, it's fitting because you have an AMG motor. You might as well have an AMG exhaust. You know, I was rushing to try and get everything, all the little last-minute details done on James's car before he showed up. But of course, as typical James fashion, he shows up early. But I'm glad that he did because it gave me a chance to explain some of the things we did on his car that he didn't really even know about. As you requested, we did red leather interior. We did burlwood, and if you look at it close, you'll see that it has a little hint of red in the brown.
So it ties into the interior.
It ties into the interior.
So everything's matchy-matchy.
Yeah.
Just like my outfit matches the
I know
car,
you.
same
I
color
noticed
scheme.
that you like that with the red shoes. And
So I had a choice of what color the car is going to be, both the exterior and interior. I've got a couple other SLs as well. I've got a red one, I've got a yellow one. I go, I want this in a kind of battleship gray with a red interior. It works well against each other. And to celebrate that, I actually picked up like 3 different pairs of gray jeans and 2 different red sweaters and trying to match the car as close as I can.
So another thing that I did for you is...
Fuse box?
Yes, so here we put modern blade fuses. Everything is here.
Okay.
So your fuel pump, your ECU, even your electric fan. If you ever have an issue with the engine, your fuse box is here. The ECU, to communicate with it, there's a little USB connector. I'll show you that connects to your computer there.
I think that James was really, really happy with the final outcome, and he got to take a look at all the stuff that Ralph was doing. So that was really a plus, because there was so much going on in this build.
Hey, that's not stock. When it fired up, it had a great rumble as he hits the accelerator. It screams. I'm totally thrilled. I think it's gonna make great power. I think the car's gonna drive really, really well. But wow, when he fired up, it really woke me up. I love the way the car looks. When can we go for a drive? Where's the keys? Put the steering wheel on. Let's go for a ride. Well, I've been looking forward to this for a while. The car is driving well. The suspension is very compliant. The power and the torque is there. There's a little bit of hiccups here and there. The exhaust is a bit noisier than I would like, but I'm very confident that Ralph can make it right.
So far, we've got 1,200, 1,500 hours into this car, but it's the last few hours, it's the last few details that really make the big difference. You can do everything perfect all the way up to that last detail. If you don't nail that last detail, it seems like all that work is for nothing.
This is what I've been looking for. Again, I'm a perfectionist. I am asking for a lot. This is a nearly 60-year-old car, and we're using some modern technology. There's still some finesse needs to be done, but I'm very happy with overall of what we have come so far, and I'm looking forward to kind of getting that last 10% of perfection.
So the car needs to be driven and broken in a little bit before we can do that final tune in the car, and it'll be perfect after that. And I think that James will enjoy this car for a really long time. It'll be hard to get him to part with this one, I think.